Unitarian Universalist Church. We're glad that you joined us to worship today. Whoever you are, whatever your theological, spiritual, political, sexual, or racial orientation or gender identity, you're welcome to worship here and become a part of this community. We're going to open up for any announcements this morning. I'll start off. Next week is our second Open Road Coffee House featuring Rachel Sumner and Traveling Light. You can find them in your insert on the last page, as well as upcoming services and other activities for the month. We will have, we're looking for volunteers for setup on Thursday evening. And then anyone who wants to volunteer during the coffee house to help serve food and drinks, that would be greatly appreciated. We always have an army of volunteers that makes it work, and we're always thankful for it. Are there any other announcements, Julie?
Sorry, I didn't get this one on the calendar quick enough for Rick to have it included in the printout. But we are getting ready to start up our next program that we're using cultural council funds for. We're going to be offering a beginner ukulele workshop. And it's going to be 6 weeks of beginner ukulele lessons starting on October 17th. And then at the holiday stroll, the students from the class are going to do a little performance here at the church while we're open for the stroll. Nothing crazy or fancy, just, to kind of show off what they learned. It's $20 to register. But if you can't afford the $20, we're not going to turn anybody away. You need to provide your own ukulele. If you need help selecting one, Sandy, who's doing the lesson, Sandy and Mike will be doing the workshop. Sandy sent me a link to one that's good for beginner use. It's not too expensive. But again, if the cost is a barrier to you, let us know and we can see if we can get one that we can borrow. So if you're interested, let me know. I have a sign-up sheet where you can sign up online. I'm going to email a link out as well. It's for adults of any age and teens 16 and older with parental permission. And that, again, starts on October 17th. It will be Thursday nights for 6 weeks, and then a little performance at the holiday stroll. So if you're interested in trying something new, this will be a fun one. Thank you. Oh, and thank you to everybody who put in so many hours yesterday during the Fall Fest. It was phenomenal. So thanks. So as you all know, the Friends of Dorothy AA group meets in our RE Hall every Saturday. And last night they celebrated their 1-year anniversary of existing as an AA chapter. And they had a huge party, and I think there were probably, like, the place was packed. And Jude and I attended, so thanks to Friends of Dorothy for inviting us. And other than at a jamming event, I don't think I've been in a room full of so much love and acceptance in my whole life. It really was absolutely amazing. So congratulations to everybody from that group for 1 year of meeting here at Channing Church.
Any other announcements? Jude.
Just a reminder, the October 27th Lady Jeanette Halloween service will be an extended coffee hour until about 3:30. Games and stuff for kids. Costumes are encouraged. Pop-up is welcome also. Oh, and 7 other churches are invited. So
Okay. Any other announcements? All right, then I will turn the pulpit over to our affiliated minister, the Reverend Dr. Judith Campbell.
I am so excited about the Friends of Dorothy. I remember last year when Greg came to me and said, there's nothing here for us. And I said, why don't you do it? The church will support you. Fast forward a year later. This is church in action, folks. This is what I brag about when I'm with other clergy. I brag about you all the time because you get it. You get it in ways that people who supposedly have the same values, principles, and purposes, which I'm going to talk about today, you really wear your faith. You wear it on your sleeve, you wear it in your heart, you wear it in your feet, you wear it in your hands. And it's just so exciting to see. I wish I could put you on national television. By the way, I sing, I'm going to put this right on. I sing with the Pilgrim Festival Chorus in Plymouth. And sitting next to me, would you believe, is another lady minister. And she brought me a couple of lapel pins, and this one says, vote your faith, vote your heart, vote your spirit. So and now I will calm down. I'm about 8 notches above normal, and I'm pretty up there. Gear shift. It's another 1-year anniversary tomorrow, and that is the beginning of the Hamas invasion into Israel, the attack, and everything that's happened since. And I could not let this day and this time in our lives go by without bringing our attention to it. And I found something written by Reverend Dr. Nathan Eddy, who is the co-director of the Council of Christians and Jews, of one of the oldest charitable interfaith organizations in the UK. And I was so perfect, I shared a bunch of my UU clergy, and I've been getting, so I'm going to read this to you. As we approach October 7th, marking the first anniversary of the horrific terror attack in southern Israel, and started the ongoing conflict between Israel, Hamas, and Hezbollah, we take this moment to reflect on the tragic loss of innocent life. The violence and devastation is an ongoing trauma, which is deeply affecting countless lives in the region and around the world. And it has disrupted human lives and interfaith relations around the world. Dr. Eddy writes, God of all, with every news cycle, our heart breaks for the loss of innocent civilian life in Gaza, Israel, the West Bank, Lebanon, and the wider region of the Middle Eastern nations. Today, we hallow the memory of those Israelis, Palestinians, and citizens of other nations who were murdered 1 year ago. We remember all those taken hostage, many never to return home. We pray for all of the hostages, an end to the war, a stable and just peace between the Palestinians and Israelis, and for the whole region as a whole. May we be the people who oppose prejudice and hate of all kinds wherever we live. And may our churches be places of welcome and solidarity in these divisive times. In the words of one of our Unitarian writers, David Pohl, we come to this time and this place to rediscover the wondrous gift of free religious community, to renew our faith in the holiness, goodness, and beauty of life, to reaffirm the way of the open mind and the full heart, to rekindle the flame of memory and hope, and to reclaim the vision of an earth made fair and all of her people one. May it be so. Rick, would you let her tell us? Oh, Levi, would you let her tell us? I want to hear this.
Please stand this moment. We lay our chalice together, our beacon through world wars, moments of peace, civil unrest, births, deaths, joys, and concerns, as we have every Sunday that we remember. But the fire is never the same, and neither are we. We light this guiding star to navigate the universe of change.
Now may we, oh.
Love is the doctrine of this church.
The quest for truth is sacrament, and service is prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine. Thus we covenant with each other and with God.
Now, our children's rhythm choir. Can we give the kiddos some instruments, please?
Voice makers, everything going on.
Yeah, if you just cover down, say great little here. Jordan wants to. And it's up to the. We are going to sing hymn 346. I'm going to sing the song with me.
Oh, no, there you go.
Oh. Yeah. Let's give us an opening line so we can get the.
Oh, no, we're not, yeah. Oh,
Okay,
we're doing it.
breakfast, go ahead.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So, we're basically doing the whole chorus, and then everyone gets to come.
Okay.
All right. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3.
talk about flowers today. And you're going to help me in a few minutes. Because, you know, what kind of a church is this? Anybody know? Adult? Begins with a U. Unitarian Universalist. And one of our symbols is a flaming chalice. And we have developed, the big people up in the Boston area who make these decisions, decided that we needed a more user-friendly way of telling people who we are. So they came up with the idea of a flower. Flower? See a flower? Got it on your order of service?
It'll pick up from there, it's okay.
So in the center, we used to have 7 principles. And that's, I'm getting feedback.
Yeah, he's turning.
We used to have 7 principles. Things, not articles of religion, but ways we would live together. And the folks in Boston decided it might be easier to explain who we are with this image of a flower, with love at the center of everything that we do. It hasn't changed how we feel or how we work together, but it puts love at the center of all we do. And I thought we would make a living flower. This morning, I'm going to give each of you one of these. You can take it home, you can color it, you can doctor it up, I'm going to take baby juice. And now I need some help. Dot, I want you first. You come and sit right here. Hold that. That's going to be. And I'm going to give you the center of everything. So you hold that. Hold that up. Now I need, who wants to be generosity? Want to be generosity? Young man, come on. Come on, up. You sit beside her. Down one. And you hold the generosity bag. Hold it close to her, so as we're gonna take a picture, it's not all about flower. Who's gonna be my justice flower? Drag your knees in here. Sit right in there. Tuck yourself in, hold your flower, hold your leaf. Who's gonna be my interdependence? Wanna be my interdependence? You got one of you, got it. Okay. You go over here. Come on up the stairs. You stand beside him. You stand right foot. Okay, that's good enough. That's good enough. There we go. Transformation, Maggie. Come on. Sit beside your sister. Yes. Come and sit down. Sit down beside your sister and you hold up transformation. And do you want equity or pluralism? No, that's fine. Let me be a kid. You sit right there. You sit down there, hold up your equities. And you hold up those. There. It's a slightly lopsided flower. But we mean well. You should show the camera. You show the camera. Because that's okay. Yeah, that's good. There you go. That works. Good job. Is this wonderful?
Yeah.
Is this absolutely wonderful? This is a living, breathing flower. This is the future of all of us, right here, holding the words that we value. Like Thank you. Would you put your flower petals back in the flower basket? Guess what I was told? Guess what I was told? Now, we're gonna do something else even more wonderful. In a lot of churches, when you kids move, a lot of churches actually make a point when the children leave for their educational part of singing a song to sing the children out. Now, we know about this little light of mine. And we're gonna, is that the right one?
So we're gonna
Go now in peace, oops.
4:13.
Go now, 4:13, go now in peace.
The great hymnal.
And you can even wave the kids out if you want to, because, and I'm taking more time than I usually do tonight, but I'm going to do it anyway. I grew up as a little kid in a church family. And I grew up knowing that the adults in that church thought I was the best thing since sliced bread, along with all of the other kids. And it was so wonderful, and that love has stayed with me all the time. So every time we sing the kids out, I want you to sing your heart, even if you don't sing for me or God or anybody else, sing for the kids, that much you can do. And make them feel as special as we know they are. Go then. Take a big deep breath, ask the other. Big breath. Let's get together. Now we come to the time in our order of service for the sharing of our joys and concerns. Those events and mile markers in our lives which shape our lives and give them meaning. And when we share what's on our mind with our beloved community, it makes it twice as joyful or half as difficult to bear. So once again, I plead with all of you. If you're going to share a joy and concern, I would like to hear it. So speak up so we can hear you. And Rick will light a candle. Is somebody something that they'd like to say? Julie.
A candle for Deb, Aaron, and Paul, and the rest of their family.
Thank you.
For the Arena family. Right.
Reminding myself that I'm not at an AA and not introduce myself as very well. My joy is for this place, and I was telling Julie last night that the AA meeting that we built, I guess it's too late to the meeting that we built is a family, but it's a family within a family, because we come here and you guys have supported us so much, and we wouldn't have been able to have, we had over 100 people last night. We wouldn't have been able to have anything like that without you guys. We just have so much gratitude for everything you do for us. And to wrap it up, my main joy is that I finally have roots in communities, multiple communities, and
I'm going to rephrase that just a little bit because I know I've got a microphone, you know. Greg was saying how happy he is to have a community, have roots in the AA community and roots here, and to have a family, and how much he appreciates the support that this church has given him and the program. And what you missed me saying was what happened last night at your meeting is faith in action in the best possible way. This is putting your money where your faith is, putting your shoulder where your faith is, putting your hands where your faith is. This is faith and love in action. Go you.
Right, they're part of our community, and the friends of Friends of Torquay. Jude?
I have two. Happy, joy, the facade up front and the windows are fully repaired.
Yep.
Thank you to Susan for doing all that hard work on that. And a candle of joy for the fall and winter time, which I love, which is why I'm happy the repairs were done.
Julie?
To piggyback off that, candles for Mike and Susan, who spent a day repainting the green trim, and it looks fantastic. So thank you both.
For all the work that we put into this church, especially those who've given their time, thank you.
My joy. I know it's not everyone's thing, but I love the cooler weather. Yes, so I adore the weather outside. It's gorgeous.
I have an almost joy. After a long struggle with me and Judy and her computer, my next book is almost out. We have the cover. If you go on my Facebook page, you can see the cover. And I should have it out within a month or so. And so I'm really happy.
Great. Okay, double the.
Julie did.
Speak up, honey.
A concern or pray for the family of a friend of a friend. There's someone shared at a meeting this morning that their friend who was 22 years old committed suicide last night, and so it's not all happy, but we can pray for them.
Of course, and with the support that you will offer and your friends will offer us. That's so hard. Thank you.
Sorry, one more. Diane had her knee replacement replaced and is doing well.
Levi? For Levi's coworker who is having a medical situation. And I will lay one more for all those joys and concerns, and those who couldn't make it today, and those joys and concerns that we carry with us aren't ready to share with others just yet.
Let us enter into a time of communal silence for prayer if you pray, thinking if you think, meditating if you meditate, and hold our joys and concerns, spoken and unspoken, in our hearts. The Sunflowers by Mary Oliver. Come with me into the field of sunflowers. Their faces are burnished discs. Their dry spines creep like ship masts. Their green leaves so heavy and many, filled all day with the sticky sugars of the sun. Come with me to visit the sunflowers. They're shy, but they want to be friends. They have wonderful stories of when they were young, the important weather, the wandering cows. Don't be afraid to ask them questions. Their bright faces, which follow the sun, will listen, and all those rows of seeds, each one a new life, a hope for a deeper acquaintance, each of them, though it stands in a crowd of many, like a separate universe. Each of them, though it stands in a crowd of many, is like a separate universe. is lonely. The long work of turning their lives into a celebration is not easy. Come, let us walk with those modest faces, the simple garments of leaves, the coarse roots in the earth, so uprightly burning. Number 123, Spirit of Life.
Now's the time in our service to put our hands in our pockets and pull out some money to continue the good works of our church. Stand as you're willing and able and join me in singing the words found in the insert in your order of service.
History of Unitarian Universalism. Unitarian Universalism is a liberal religious tradition that was formed from the consolidation of two religions, Unitarianism and Universalism. In America, the Universalist Church of America was founded in 1793, and the American Unitarian Association in 1825. After consolidating in 1961, these faiths became the new religion of Unitarian Universalism, the Unitarian Universalist Association, UUA. Both religions have long histories and have contributed important theological concepts that remain central to Unitarian Universalism. Since the merger of the two denominations in 1961, Unitarian Universalism has nurtured its Unitarian and Universalist heritages to provide a strong voice for social justice and liberal religion.
Those of us who are old enough remember Flower Mound. I see a few tie-dye t-shirts floating around here. I grew up in the thick of it. I lived in tie-dye. But I want to talk about that flower. This flower.
It's also in your insert.
In your order of service. As Mike reminded us in his reading today, in 1961, the Unitarians and the Universalists, in recognition of declining membership and active participation in both groups, and in recognition of their powerfully similar religious and spiritual practices and justice-seeking intentions, they joined forces, they joined hearts and hands, and became the UUA, which we are now, the Unitarian Universalist Association of America. Because there's one in Canada too. In England, they're just Unitarians, by the way. And in Transylvania, they're Unitarians, and in Hungary, they're Unitarians. They didn't have the blessing of the Universalists, but Unitarianism is a worldwide religion. So that is who we were and how we got there. But the question as time and as remained as time and we evolved, just what are we now? What do we say when someone asks us, so what is it that you believe in anyway? And the answer is not anything you want to, okay? Remember that. People kept asking the question, especially in light of the effects of the changes brought about by the women's movement and the Black Lives Matter movement. So our foremothers and forefathers and non-binary ancestors spent some time thinking about this. And in 1981, presented the membership and the wider world with our beloved 7 principles. Beloved 7 principles and related purposes as a codification of the core values and religious wellsprings of our denomination. In essence, 7 principles were a unified, relatively concise, user-friendly statement of what we believe and how we want to walk forward together. And they worked. They still do. And then, in 2023, our former president, Susan Frederickson Gray, wrote, our 7 principles and 6 sources, which we know and love, were adopted in 1985. They offered a substantial, even radical change from what preceded them. The changes came through years of effort by UU women, particularly the UU Women's Federation, to push for gender equality in UUism, support for women in the ministry, and to eliminate the sexist language from our bylaws and hymns. And yes, from the version of Article 2 it passed in 1961 at the time of the merger. But the changes didn't just address gender bias. They made significant languages that reflected changes made that, say it again. But the changes didn't just address gender bias. They made significant language changes that reflected the times. It removed the language of God, man, and brotherhood, but also added the language of interdependence and added sources reflecting the growing theological diversity of our tradition. That, I'm really proud of that. The 7 principles changed our movement in ways that were important for the success of women leaders, ministers, and for me, when I began to step into the ministry in the last decade of this century. A woman going into ministry was not a strange thing. I preached to you before about how our foremother, Olivia Brown, had to struggle to get into divinity school and then to get a job at all. It's a little more emotional. strong enough to be ministers. Not. In the mid-2010s, the ground began to shift again. As much as it did in response to the women's movement, the emergence of the Black Lives Matter movement, the election of Donald Trump with his racist and misogynist campaign, and the urgent calls to confront white supremacy culture in our own movement, all of these compelled UUs to ask questions about whether our own principles fully reflected who we are and who we need to be. By the 2017 General Assembly, there were multiple grassroots efforts to change some of the wording in our principles. The first suggestion was overwhelmingly adopted to change prophetic men, women and men to prophetic people, to move beyond gender binary. Following that, the words in the first principle, the worth and dignity of all people, was changed to the inherent worth and dignity of all beings. And I have to say, I changed that for myself years ago because I'm an animal lover. And all creatures have worth, and all creatures should be afforded dignity in the life that they are living. It was within this context that the UUA Board of Directors appointed a study commission. Do they love commissions? Study commission, sorry, to integrate these conversations and lead a discernment process across our whole association about our core values, our covenant, and our purpose. The board gave the commission a broad charge to review, change, or reimagine Article 2 to enable our UUA, our member congregations, and our covenant communities to be relevant and a powerful force for spiritual and moral growth, for healing, and for justice. And so it was, with multiple committee meetings, with the waving of flags, torches, and pitchforks, and more contentious committee meetings than anyone could have ever dreamed possible. The changes were accepted by a majority vote and at the 2024 UUA General Assembly. And we're right there, even though in the beginning I tried to stick my own head in the sand about change, about the whole thing. I would have voted to accept the proposal. So Rick, will you tell us where we are now, please?
This is from the Who We Are page on the UUA website. If you want to find this and look through that yourself. We are Unitarian Universalists. We are brave, curious, and compassionate thinkers and doers. We are diverse in faith, ethnicity, history, and spirituality, but aligned in our desire to make a difference for the good. We have a track record of standing on the side of love, justice, and peace. We have radical roots and a history as self-motivated spiritual people. We think for ourselves and recognize that life experience influences our beliefs more than anything. We do not need to think alike to look alike, to love alike. We are people of many beliefs and backgrounds, people with a religious background, people with none, people who believe in a God, people who don't, and people who let the mystery be. We have been on the forefront of lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer inclusion for more than 40 years. We are people of all sexual orientations and gender identities. As a religious denomination, we seek to welcome you, your whole self, with all your truths and your doubts, your worries, and your hopes. We invite you to walk with us on this extraordinary adventure of faith.
I'm going to repeat that last line. As a religious denomination, we seek to welcome you, your whole self, with all your truths and your doubts, your worries and your hopes. We invite you to walk with us on this extraordinary adventure of faith. We don't say follow the leader. We say walk together. Very important, very important. And that, broadly speaking, is who we are. The wording of this new vision incorporates everything of value that was in the seventh principle, but it looks different. Even though I am a UU, I am predisposed to question authority. And if I'm gonna be completely honest, I don't like change unless I'm the one that's suggesting it. I opened my mind, and I opened my heart. You know, several of the old light bulb, UU light bulb jokes? How many UUs does it take to change a light bulb? None. Light bulbs don't change. Or, how many UUs does it take to change a light bulb? Again, none. It never happened. My grandfather donated that light bulb. Or how many UUs? Well, I can't really say, because first we have to form a committee, a study, and a study group, and then we have to maybe table it for a while we think about it. And then, well, I don't know, it's the church supper night, anyway, sound familiar? I gotta tell you something, dear ones. Change is not a four-letter word, but for many of us, even we birthright, scrappy, question authority, long-time UUs, we tend to treat the idea and process of change of modes of faith worse than death. Give me my comfort zone or give me death. Recently, in something UU leadership referred to as the second principle project that I mentioned earlier, the UUA reviewed and reshaped our original defining and life-affirming seven principles of our faith, taking it from a linear printed list and recreating it and revisioning these same concepts into the image of an interconnected and all-inclusive flower. Here it is again. And wasn't the children's flower this morning the most adorable thing you ever saw? I mean, was that, I got pictures of it, so we'll get to see it again. I think the flower image shows the interconnectivity of these principled values in a way that a numbered list cannot do. And it does this flash. I mean, boom, flower, there it is. We don't have to read it, we just see the flower with a lot in the middle of it. This is why we call ourselves a living tradition, a living faith community. We are a living tradition, a living religion, and like it or not, because we are a living one, we will continue to grow and evolve. In the future, we might design a different flower, or we might create another metaphor entirely, and that's how it should be. The good news is our core values will not change, but we will, what will change is our understanding of the truth, and the holy will evolve in the light of new evidence. I might kick and scream a little bit if I should live that long, but I will evolve and adapt along with it, because this is who I am. This is who I have to be as a Unitarian Universalist and as a minister. I gotta practice what I preach. I'd like to close today, my talk today, with two poems. Selection from William Blake poem, The Auguries of Innocence, and many of you, it's familiar, but I want you to think about it. And I'm gonna read it twice so you can really take it in. To see the world in a grain of sand, and heaven in a wildflower. To hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour. That poem was probably written about 1800. And I never read the whole poem until I went looking for it the other day so I could use it here. I'm gonna preach a whole sermon on that poem. It's long. Oh my God, it's 4 pages long. But it's amazing. It talks about looking at life from different ways. And everything is a metaphor. Everything is a metaphor for the truth, for the holy, and for life. It's amazing. And the other one, which many of you know, composed almost 100 years later by Alfred Lord Tennyson. Flower in the cranny wall, I pluck you out of the crannies. I hold you here, root and all in my hand. Little flower, But if I could understand what you are, root and all in all, I should know what God and man is. We have so much to be grateful for, dear ones, and so much more to do. Just remember our flower power. And as you say the words of our closing hymn, this is an old one, older one. It's an old hymn. Look at the words. Where is our holy church? Listen to them. Listen to them as you sing them. Yeah. Please stand as you're willing and able. Number 113. From words of two Universalists, first John Murray and then Hosea Ballou. Universalists before we merged. Go out into the highways and byways. Give the people something of your new vision. You may possess a small light, but uncover it, let it shine. Use it in order to bring more light and understanding to the hearts and minds of men and women. Give them not hell, but hope and courage. Preach kindness and the everlasting love of God and the Holy Spirit as you understand it by edition. And from Hosea Ballou, if we agree in love, there can be no disagreement that we can do us any, excuse me, I'm sorry. If we agree in love, there is no disagreement that can do us any injury. But if we do not, no other agreement can do us good. If we agree in love, there is no disagreement that can do us any injury. But if we do not, no other agreement can do us any good. Let us endeavor to keep the unity, the spirit, and the bonds of peace, now and forever. May it be in peace. Yours truly is left.
Please stand as you're willing and able.
So pre-post.
Distinguish display.
The light of truth.
For the work
of the community. For the fire of commitment. The peace we carry in our hearts. And so we are together.
Ready?
Yeah.
Go.